Hey guys, Moose here. Welcome back to another episode of Life is Feudal Forest Village. Starting to make good progress here. Not perfect, but pretty good. Looking forward to getting this damn thing built. Maybe a third of the way. Yeah, I think we're about a third of the way there. I don't really like that these two got finished before these two, but I do. Alright, how are we doing on donkeys? I always feel like I have to check that all the time. That's like part of my routine. Are we farming? No, we are deliberately not farming. Okay, fine by me. We are getting fruit, however. And honey. It's a pretty good equilibrium here. I just came from recording more Frostpunk, and like my mind is not in a Life is Feudal Forest Village state. Let's put it that way. I'm like super. I'm like, what are we running out of now? What are we gonna do? What's gonna kill us? Like, what's going on? Obviously, that's not really where we're at right now. But mentally, that's kind of where my mind is. Well, that and programming for work. Though, I don't know, you could... I would say it's reasonable to call it programming. It's not exactly... No, yeah, it's... No, I mean, I don't know, 50-50. Like, I guess it's more like automated data analysis than it is programming, but is that not a thing that you can do with programming? It's just Visual Basic. It's not like I'm writing some crazy shit in Java or C# or C++ or whatever, or Python. All of these are languages that I've fiddled with at some point, but never became an expert. I want to take classes eventually, but where's the time? But yeah, I'm just doing VBA. Basically, all I'm doing is I have a whole bunch of data, and I really want this one to finish because then I can build next to it. Actually, no, I can't because I need that one to finish too. I don't want to cut them off. But basically, I have two sets of data. One of them is very straightforward because it is directly... I don't need to translate it, basically. And that's what the system says. And that basically is like, okay, well, these parts are here in the system, wherever that may be. And there's not too many different states that a unit of material can have systematically. It's relatively straightforward. So I have that. But then I have another system that says what it should be, regardless of what it is. And that one is not straightforward. That one I have to do a lot of interpretate because I have to translate one system to the other, and they're not really one-to-one. And also, one thing in one system can mean several things in the other system, which is another major issue that I have to kind of wrap my head around. I'm not really sure how to do that yet at this point. But I've been working on that when I can spare time away from my actual day-to-day job, which is managing the flow of material through the company at this point. Basically making... I would say... No, that's unfair. I could easily say that I have my hands on virtually... functionally every single product that my company makes, I've put my hands on directly. And been a part of making. That's not an exaggeration at all. It's just that's the amount of involvement I've got. It's just the way it is. I cannot build it from here. Sorry, lady, I'm gonna kidnap you for a minute. Hope you don't mind. We're gonna sprinter. Was that blood? I think there's a tree or a bush inside that wall. Yeah, I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. That's just the nature of the situation. Because of the way the work is done. To a degree, it kind of all goes through me. Not that I have, like, the final say on anything serious. It's just, you know... I still get my hands on almost everything we do. Okay, there we go. I was wondering where I could build it. Let's just finish this one. I want to move on to the next one, which requires this being finished, so there we go. Good work, lady. Are these done? No. One is done, now I need the other three. I'll give them a minute. Why rush, right? Well, actually, if the terraforming is done... There's no way. I wanted to get that one designated, but there's no way I was going to be able to eyeball that accurately. But yeah, I'm basically like collating data. I don't know, it's hard to explain without giving away details that kind of are not appropriate for me to share. It's just, yeah. The main frustration that I have is that I've asked a couple times where a particular piece of information is stored, and I've found 6 or 7 different places that look like that's where that information is stored, but none of them have been correct. So I don't know if there's versions of this information that I don't understand, or if there's old tables that are being updated but not actually used correctly and should be deprecated, which means just gotten rid of, basically, or well, I don't know what the hell's going on at this point, but I'm kind of tired of looking at info that's, like, not correct. It's real frustrating when you set up, because I didn't realize it was incorrect the first time, so I set up the whole report and got everything running, and it's like, oh no, that's wrong. What do you mean it's wrong? I spent 2 hours getting this working, you're telling me it's wrong? And yeah, I'd say 2 hours is probably right. It was just that portion of it. The whole thing took a lot longer than that, obviously, and is ongoing. Primarily, like, if I could put a week into it and have all the answers about what I needed to write, it'd be easy, but it's not actually my primary function to write that report, so I have to kind of find time for it in between everything else, unfortunately. Which has really been the actual problem. Trying to make it work anyway, but yeah, you know the drill. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I just wish I could... The thing is, I want to be done with this. I want to have this whole project finished, because now I've... Like, I was pretty okay with Visual Basic before, but I was out of practice because I hadn't used it in a while. Now that I've used it, there's a lot of different things that we do that I could probably go and automate slightly. Particularly for myself, but there's some stuff for my coworkers that I could do as well, which will help them, and also gain me... attention's not really the right word, praise isn't really the right word either, but maybe that's closer. Recognition, that's the word. It would gain me recognition for helping to improve the efficiency of our process, which... It's kind of sad, because I can do more for our company in a week in Excel than some consultants I've seen. So one of the things that you can do is everyone uses systems in their business, right? Everyone's got different things that they use, programs that are used either to track inventory or transactions, or ticketing software. Everyone's got something that helps them do better work. A lot of that software, as you can probably guess, costs a lot of money. But the solutions are not typically very well made. In my experience, and in past companies where I've seen them bring in like a third party to develop some software, it's always been less than stellar, I would say. So, it's unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? I wouldn't mind if I had more first-hand expertise with like pushing data to or from SAP or Oracle or any of the major ERP, MRP software. I would love to develop. I would love to be a company that does that. But I would imagine it's probably pretty hard to get work because there's a lot of those companies around there. And the problem with stuff like that is they're not selling to the customer, they're selling to the executives within the customer's business. And the executives, believe me, don't... I forgot to take people off of farming and stuff. The executives are not working level people. They don't understand what does and doesn't work for some guy whose day job is to punch in numbers and look at the data. They don't get that. Mostly. Some of them I guess do, but more often than not, in my experience, they just don't see it. So you wind up with virtually every company I've ever worked at, and I worked retail, and the retail company that I worked for was large. They're a well-known company. And they used a inventory tracking system whose interface was in... the interface was DOS. And this was like 2010? I think this was 2010. So, you know, keep that... Like, think about that for a minute. They were using a DOS-based system in 2010. Oh, it's snowing again. That sucks. I was going to put people on farming. I think I still can, because it's +0, it's not -1. Well, that's dead on how many people I needed. So I'll take another 10 off of building. And the funny thing is, to be completely honest with you, the biggest, the company had a million different issues that pissed me off, and I'm really glad I don't work there anymore, but retail kind of falls into that category most of the time regardless. The biggest issue with the software wasn't even with the software. Like, the software worked. It was fine. Like, you had a code, you wanted to know about a particular product, you typed in the code, it was pretty easy to understand and use. Despite the fact that it ran in DOS, it was fine. Like, it wasn't really a problem. Maybe there was some minor search functionality that it would have benefited from, but it generally was fine. I didn't really have any issue with it. The big issue was the company was not very good about keeping their inventory accurate. And that's not really acceptable as a business, to be honest. And if I was in charge of that business, I would be losing my mind over that. Inventory accuracy is incredibly critical. That's everything that the company owns it represents a monetary value, and you need to track it accurately. I'm a stickler for accuracy. Partially because part of my job is kind of identifying errors and fixing them. But... or maybe it's not part of my job, it's just something we do. I don't know. It's kind of... sometimes it's not clear which one of those that is. But yeah, it's like, I don't understand. Like, I get it, it's retail, people steal things and it's hard to track those down, but they did cycle counts. Like, you know, they were counting stuff, which they're supposed to. Cycle count is basically when you go, the computer spits out like, hey, go count this item, and you find all of that item that you can, and you see how many you have. And if it matches, then great. If it doesn't match, you need to figure out why it doesn't match and resolve it. But they didn't seem to do that very frequently or accurately, so... I don't know. Pack mule died. One there. Okay. So that was an issue, but yeah, I don't know. I wish I could do more programming, I guess is what this all boils down to. Because even if it wasn't I mean, even when it is work, I enjoy it. It's like I like the puzzle solving aspect of it. As long as I'm actually solving a puzzle instead of, if the puzzle I'm solving is why did this idiot set it up this way, that's not really a puzzle. But if it's actually like, okay, well I have this data, how do I turn that into what I want? I really enjoy that kind of a puzzle. It's fun, it's interesting, it's, you know, it's a learning thing, you can learn a lot. And it's like, to a degree, programming at that point is like doing a crossword puzzle to me. You have certain, you're being given certain criteria and you need to figure out the solution. And I think that at essence is how a lot of it works. Is the tools are the tools and the concepts are the concepts. They're pretty standard, I think, most of the time. The stuff that's complicated, that's hard to teach, is the puzzle, the logic, problem solving kind of thing. I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, say you have... Say you have like a an RPG game, just like a basic old school Final Fantasy game. It's easy enough to store different stats for a character. You'd create, if you had a set number of characters, you just have each character always created. You wouldn't have to have a process for creating a new character, but you'd have, you know, you'd store the stats probably as integers and different things, but then you get into weird stuff like, okay, well, what about classes and abilities? What about this person can be these classes, but this person can be these classes, and there's some overlap, but there's some that only one can be, and then each one of those has bonuses and penalties depending on what they're fighting against, and it very quickly becomes extremely complicated, and you kind of... I think Pokemon is a really good example, if you're going to think about it conceptually, how you would handle that kind of a thing. It's a very clearly defined situation where, hey, this type is strong against this type, you get this modifier against this type, and then you don't get it against, or you get a penalty against this type, whatever it may be. And that kind of makes it easy to think about, I think, because it's set up in a very clear way, I feel. I would say, in my opinion, Pokemon has too many different types, and it's hard to keep track of them all, but generally the concept of it is relatively straightforward, I think. So at least that part's easy. The rest, maybe not so much, but... So they're able to build from the bottom, huh? Or that one's not... No, it is finished. That one is finished. The middle one's finished. So they must have been able to build from the bottom. So can I... Yeah, good enough. That one will... I don't know how that's gonna work. Okay, they can do it from there. Fantastic. But yeah, anyway, sorry it's kind of work talk today. I don't really know what else to talk about. That's where my mind's at. Whether it's recording videos or actually work, you know. That's really what I'm thinking about right now. I'm feeding the logical side of the brain, not the creative side. Which I think isn't actually a thing. I remember reading that's not actually how it works at all. It's the left-right brain crap is not a valid thing, I guess. I don't know. Honestly, it's not something that will have any impact on my life, whether or not that's true, so I don't put much thought into it. It would be interesting to understand, but it really doesn't make much difference to me at this point. And it's not like I'm going to be able to figure out how it works more than some neurosurgeon is, so... Even if what I read is bullshit, it doesn't actually change anything. It's not like I was going to be like, oh, I want to be a more logical person. Can you cut out the other side of my brain? Cut out the artistic side of my brain so I'm just focused on logic. That's not how it works, obviously. So, no impact. Not worried about it. It's basically party trivia, is what I'm getting at. Really, I'm glad we got the bottom part mostly done here, because that's going to enable us to build this out a little quicker. I wish I'd gotten that done more quickly, but it is what it is. I really need this one done. But I get the distinct feeling it's not going to be up to me. They're going to take their time with it. But that's okay. Anyway, that is going to do it for today's episode. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hope you'll join us for the next episode as well. If you did enjoy it, feel free to come by twitch.tv/electronicmoose Wednesday, Friday, or Sunday, 6 to 8 p.m. PST, 9 to 11 p.m. EST. Check out a stream if you would like. If not, thank you for watching the videos here on YouTube, and I will see you next time. Take care.